Welcome to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome back to Everyday Entrepreneurs Everywhere. This is Chris Parker, and I'm speaking with Eric Patel from Boston EXO. And Eric and I are members of a few communities, the Exponential Organization community is from openexo.com and the Purpose Alliance community at purposealliance, I want to say .org. And both of us are ambassadors for the Exponential Organizations community. And so we're bumping into each other quite frequently. Just this last weekend, there was a global challenge, which Eric was an organizer of, and I was a mentor on. And we also have a collaboration coming up between ebullient.com and Boston EXO. So we might be getting into that a little bit as well. So it's delightful to have you here, Eric. Would you mind please share with me and with us, Eric, what is it that you do and why do you do what you do?
Well, thanks, Chris, for having me. It's great to be on the podcast. So I am leading up an effort, a company called Boston EXO, as you mentioned, here in the New England area, serving as Chief Innovation Officer. And our company's massive transformative purpose, our MTP, is global, worldwide, exponential mindset transformation. So we're really trying to help people shift their thinking, if you will, from traditional linear to more abundant, and also from more like scarcity to exponential. So we're starting at the individual level, and then we'd like to work our way up to teams and organizations. And, this is all based on the Exponential Organizations book.
Outstanding. And by global, is your ambition or aspiration really to touch everyone?
Ideally, we'd like to, right? It's certainly quite the moonshot, as you can imagine. So we'll start small and go from there. And, thanks to some of the other organizations that you've mentioned, OpenEXO, Purpose Alliance, we're kind of blazing the trail. And so many of us now that are part of the bigger EXL community that have done some great work really for many years now.
Outstanding. And Eric, what's the why behind all of that? So why is this meaningful and important to you? And because you're spending a lot of time and energy achieving this, what motivates you?
So I think, Chris, that was a big reason why Boston EXO was formed. The opportunity here, just market-wise within the Boston, New England area, as well as just even throughout the United States where I am. A lot of great contributors have been here doing some good work for many years, certainly want to join in on the fun, and also an effort to sort of help a lot of other individuals who perhaps have gotten displaced over these last several months due to the outbreak and other negative adverse consequences because of COVID-19, as well as our desire to really change the mindsets, for lack of a better word. I think a lot of us have grown up and have gotten used to kind of a scarcity mindset, when in fact, when you look and when you talk and when you see, there is truly abundance everywhere, not necessarily within just exponential technologies, but really throughout the world, right? So we'd like to try to help with that conversion. And then, as I mentioned, exponential technologies, trying to leverage some of the tech that's coming out of Silicon Valley and really throughout the world, especially when it comes to a lot of the great teams that are helping out with this pandemic.
Outstanding. I think the opportunities are vast. And how can, I'm curious what your, I want to call it definition or perspective is on abundance versus scarcity. Like, how do you describe that to people? And why is it difficult for some people to shift from a scarcity to abundance mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for a lot of us, it has to do about how we grew up and how we were raised. And a lot of what we see in our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, some of us haven't grown up with very much. Some of us have, right? So I think for some people, it's not as difficult to sort of make that leap or make that jump. But it's true when you look at sort of what's available and what's around in the world. And I know usually when you think of those terms, you think of physical stuff, right? But of course, there's a lot more to it than that, right? There is a lot of abundance in the world in lots of other feelings and emotions. Not so much of the left brain items, but the right brain items as well. Love, for example, right? So being able to just, I think, help others understand and really just, again, shift their mindsets, see things in a different way, a different light, and be able to sort of make that transition for some of us does take a little bit of time, but our belief is that we can all get there.
I believe it too. And that's also, one of the main reasons I contribute to these communities, which is essentially all volunteer, and they're amazing communities of challengers, thinkers, and doers, literally all over the world, for what you're part of. And it's been delightful to meet you and connect with you through that experience. And coming back to Boston EXO, how, I guess this is a product or service question. What is it that Boston EXO provides in order to shift that mindset, through individuals, teams, and ultimately organizations?
And again, another great question, Chris. And so this is a much longer term solution, if you will, right? We believe that definitely starts with sort of a consciousness, being able to be open-minded, being able to learn, right, as part of continuous or lifelong learning. So we do provide a good foundational set within this mindset, right? Coming again from the Exponential Organization's book, some of the EXO attributes, right, that are identified in the book as well as the canvas. We also tap into some non-EXO resources as well. A lot of us are involved in Agile and Scrum and just business transformation, right? So I think it's part of our belief that to have a business organization transformation, you need to really start at the team level, which, as you all know, individuals comprise teams, right? So we're really trying to get down to the brass tacks, if you will, and help individuals with their own journey, their own change, their own transformation, shifting mindsets, changing the way they think, thinking better. And that helps, again, the teams, which ultimately helps their organizations.
And by individual, are you talking leaders or individual contributors or both? How do you define that, or what's your target there?
Yeah, I would say both for sure, right? Because every leader was probably an individual contributor at some point. And not everybody has a management or a team lead or senior leadership path. But we all have certain roles to play, right? And on the teams that we're with, the organizations that we're a part of. And change can happen really with anybody at any time. And even though I think we're all, generally speaking, not as comfortable with change, I think we all realize that it happens all the time, with or without us. Yeah.
That's change is certainly the inevitable. Can you give me an example of like what an engagement would look like? So if a leader of an organization or an organization contacted you and said, "Hey, we need support in our mindset change and transform our organization," what would that look like? How would you, just as an imaginary working together, how would that work?
Sure. So as you can imagine, with something so specific and personal like that, it does kind of start with a one-on-one relationship. So one particular company that I'm thinking about is a former employer, and I've gotten to know over the months their CEO, not only from a business co-working standpoint, but also on a personal relationship level as well. And that, I think, forms a good foundation to move forward. So, when I've spoken to him in the past about their goals, their plans for 2020 and beyond, and some of the issues that I know that they're struggling with, some of the risks they're trying to mitigate. This is where, I can strike a conversation over the phone, over a video conference call, and be able to have that balance of a working relationship as well as the personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit of the coaching, mentoring, if you will, and a little bit also of servant leadership. So if there is a problem that they're struggling with that we feel confident we can help with, we're certainly going to make that offer to do that. If we're not able to, we're going to try to point the company and him in a better direction, one of our partners or somebody else that can help. Because at the end of the day, we're here to serve. And if we ourselves can't do that, we want to certainly point them to somebody else who can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because the mindset is a deeply personal journey, and someone needs to be open for it. And it can be challenging. So I think you need a place of safety, and if you're reflecting with someone, then of course there needs to be safety in that relationship as well. You mentioned partner, and I'm delighted that ebullient.com and Boston EXO are announcing a partnership with yourselves in Boston, but really serving the world, and myself based in the Netherlands, and with a primary focus on Europe, but also the world, and the synergy there of you really bringing in the exponential view, and my journey of taking a more of a simplicity view, and I believe organizations need to do both, because exponential can be quite large, and it can quickly become complex, and through that, then how does that leader continue to challenge him or herself to simplify and stay focused? So tell me a little bit about your partner network, and how does that help you achieve your massive transformative purpose?
Yeah, so we're very excited to have ebullient and many others on board as official partners of Boston EXO. And it goes back to, I think, what I was saying earlier, that, we can't do this alone. We don't want to do this alone, and we're most definitely not going to do this alone. Mm-hmm. So we've put together a good team of partners who we know personally, and they're all up on our partners page. And we are starting to incubate some ideas and some projects with them. And this will be with some of the other items I've mentioned, as well as some additional services that we do have listed on our website today. Mm-hmm. But, these are people who we know personally, like yourself, Chris, and others who we've met recently, who we've gotten to know well. And, we're working on developing that business relationship, but as well as the personal relationship. And they're in very different sectors, right? So we have a partner who's in sort of the food tech space. We have EXO partners. We have another partner who's involved more on the personal development, personal coaching, executive mentoring kind of side. So we feel we have a good breadth as well as depth of partners who that we are able to move quickly within sort of our agile business transformation space, and be able to respond and help companies with their issues.
Outstanding. And on one hand, you have your partner ecosystem growing, and you are also involved in other initiatives like the internship program, which has the first cohort of the internship program has recently wrapped up. How tell me a little bit, what is the dream behind that? And how does that all come together, and what's next for these younger people who have gone through the internship, and most likely their mindset has been fundamentally changed?
Yeah. So speaking of which, one of the internship goals was to develop an abundance exponential mindset, which we feel we've done with the interns. So we put this together in record time, thanks to Boston EXO core team members, partners, advisory board members, and just the bigger EXO community. And we wanted to really kind of answer the question, what are kids doing this summer? You know, the summer of COVID and lack of summer jobs and internships and opportunities. What can Boston EXO do to help? So the short answer was the internship.
Yep.
And we put this together pretty much in motion. One of the big tasks as part of the internship for the interns was to actually go through the full 10-week EXO model, the EXO sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And they were disrupted just like real folks were at real companies during weeks 5 and 10. They worked on projects for Boston EXO and our customers. And if that was the only thing we did this summer with them, it would have been a great internship. But as you can see from our internship page on our website, we did a whole lot more. We had about 90% of our interns achieve the EXO Foundation certification from OpenEXO. More than half voluntarily read exponential organizations and passed an exam that we created and earned a credential. We had a small subset of interns win Distinguished Intern and Team Performance Awards. They did a lot, including additional projects with Boston EXO. Some of them got to see our executive board using Trello and the many tickets we have, and they got to see under the hood, and they got their hands dirty. And we did a lot of other mindset changing activities as well when it comes to right-brained items, such as we walked them through 7 habits for highly effective teams.
Mm-hmm.
We had a presentation on lessons learned from Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within seminar. And so we constantly, as the internship went on, made changes based on their weekly retrospective feedback and made this the best internship that we could have done, as well as probably for many of them, the best internship that they'll do.
Incredible. And can you give me maybe one real tangible example of something that you're just extremely proud of that happened during that whole summer of activity?
So they were, I think, Chris, some of the kind of overt, obvious kind of achievements, like I mentioned. A lot of the projects they worked on, they provided tangible input. For example, we worked on a business model canvas and EXO canvas for Boston EXO. We've been partnering, as you know, with OpenEXO as part of their Economy Core team and their Exos token to help them organize resources and basically provide education for the wider community. As you know, a lot of people still don't know the first thing to when it comes to blockchain or tokens or cryptocurrency, etc. They also, as I mentioned, within the sprint itself, came up with some amazing ideas for Boston EXO, whether it would be an app or whether it would be a contest and gamification. You know, trying to learn about the attributes from the book, from the canvas, and apply those to Boston EXO and our needs and our problems, as well as our customers. There were other things that happened as well, a lot of little wins. We had a lot of great help from Boston EXO core team members who served as coaches to the teams we have set up as part of the sprint. These would be core or edge teams as part of the initiatives. We also had members of the wider EXO community come in and also help out as mentors. So this was very much a collaborative team effort.
Wow, outstanding. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to have a conversation with at least one of those interns coming up soon on the podcast. I'm so eager to hear from one of those young change makers that have now been sort of enabled and skilled up in all of these ways. I cannot even imagine, myself at that age going through a summer experience like that. My mind was blown in 2011 when I attended Singularity University, but I was mid-30s at that point. And then just the opportunity for people to be exposed to that, at the beginning of their career is just, I don't even have a word for it. The value potential that's there. So I'm so impressed that you guys have put that together also so quickly. I'm just love it. Love everything about it. And in addition to that, you have recently organized through Purpose Alliance, but you are one of the lead organizers of a global challenge about the future of unity, for which I was, very proudly a mentor for one of the teams. You'll know the metrics better than I have, but I think there was over 30 teams from people all over the world. On my team, I had people, maybe not from Asia, but certainly from South America, Africa, Europe. Just incredible. And the premise of that was we had a 3-hour window for this teams of people, and they were trained beforehand in some of the exponential concepts and mindset and frameworks. And then at the end of the 3 hours, they had to make a 7-minute recording for, based on the initiative, the exponential initiative or concept that could benefit one of the many domains of the future of unity. And then a group of advisors critiqued and supported that, and those teams now have a chance to continue with a mentor to actually, make real, tangible impact. Amazing. So, yourself on the organizing side, because as a mentor, I was more of a participant. How was that for you? What was the total shape, and how did that come about? Through yourself and through Boston EXO.
Yes, I mean, the work that Purpose Alliance is doing and their contributions are commendable. Challenges is one of their contributions, as you just mentioned, and it's an opportunity really to get together with people that you've never met from around the world and really problem solve, ideate, brainstorm, come up with real solutions. And you do that, as you mentioned, over the course of a workshop. And every team puts together their best efforts and does a deck. And I was able to be part of a cohort that provided feedback to the teams, to their team members. And again, we saw so many great ideas and initiatives, including from your team, Chris. And it's always a lot of fun, whether you're a participant actually doing the work, whether you're a mentor like yourself, kind of coaching the teams, whether you're an advisor, like in the role I serve, trying to provide feedback to the teams, and even after the challenge, post-challenge, to be able to continue to incubate these ideas. That's where I think the real value in ROI is, right?
Yeah.
It's great to get together and have some fun, and meet some people, and get an accomplishment and a credential. But then what are you going to do after that, right? It's all about the action, right? The doing, right? We're a nation of doers. And so it was just great to see and hear. And, we look forward to, again, incubating a lot of teams and a lot of ideas moving forward. As a matter of fact, one of the challenges I did back in May 2000 was with a global challenge, also through Purpose Alliance. And it was about the future of work. And I was selected to also provide post-challenge mentorship to one of the teams, and we're still meeting and we're still incubating and pivoting their idea even to this day.
Yeah, lovely. The little micro communities that form from that are also powerful. I did the COVID and as well as the future of work. These are just delightful. So anyone who's listening, in the show notes, I'll put the link to Purpose Alliance, and there you can sign up for future challenges. The minimum, I guess, investment is a training and then the participation on the day. So far, it's been like on a weekend day, so it's quite flexible that way. However, you can also more and more. There's inspirational keynotes, leading up to the week to give you more primed on it, and then of course there's the potential for action afterwards. So, purposealliance.org, I think we'll put that in the show notes, and I would just really celebrate anyone who wants to make a difference, even in a small way, and create a spark for something that could be making a difference in a large way, to jump on board there. I'm not sure if it's official, Eric, but there is another global challenge coming up around November timeframe. Are you in a position to say anything about that? I think future of education and work, is that sort of where it's going? I'm really eager to hear more about the next phase.
Yes, I believe that's what we're looking at, Chris. And so for those of you that know, the challenges happen in sort of two dimensions, if you will. One is a global challenge, which is in country specific. Anybody can join in. And then there are country specific ones which again, technically anybody can join, assuming you speak the language, right? So, for example, they just did a challenge in Brazil. And so if you are struggling with Portuguese, it might have been a little challenging for you to join the challenge. But other than that, anybody is welcome to join, country specific, and there is no cost to join either. But yes, we are looking to do additional topics. The future of Unity obviously covered a huge spectrum that we just did this past weekend. And there are other issues, of course, that, we could tap some brain power towards, and that will be most likely one that we'll do this fall. Yes.
Lovely. Well, I'd like to loop back to Boston EXO and yourself. I'm just curious about you're involved in so many different things, and we just talked about a number of them. Yourself as an entrepreneur, how do you maintain that focus and maintain that energy?
I've been asked that by a lot of people lately. It's been truly incredible. And that, toppled with, again, what's been happening worldwide and notably in the USA, right, from this calendar year of 2020, starting out, unfortunately, of course, with the outbreak, and followed subsequently by large unemployment numbers, really worldwide and also here in the US. And then follow that by, again, more civil unrest and everything. And, it's only about halfway, a little more than that through the year. So it makes you wonder what else is this year going to have in store for us. And then, you also hear about, well, why would you start a company in a downturn, in a bad economy, and in a pandemic, and like all kinds of reasons not to do something. And we just decided that's not what we're going to do, right? That's not us. That's not in our DNA. That's not our mindset. And so, as you probably know, a lot of companies whose names you would recognize for sure started in tough times, economic, depression era, et cetera, not just in the US, of course, but so we felt that we were in sort of good company, to be able to do this. And, we try to do the best we can. Again, I credit our core team, who many of them are also working other jobs, both full and part-time, side hustles, et cetera. Our business model is a little different than a lot of businesses. And we're still managing to come together. We're still managing to get stuff done. We still manage to pull off a 10-week internship. As you mentioned, we have a lot of irons in the fire. I was referring to our Trello board and all the tickets we have, and some of the deep insights that our interns got during their internship, being able to see really under the hood how we're operating as a startup and some of the models we're trying to follow. And really, we're trying to drink our own moonshine, right? Instead of just telling people what to do, we're actually trying to do it as well. But personally, from an energy motivation kind of standpoint, I've sort of asked myself that as well. I don't know if I have any big secrets for that, but I think, part of it is just me personally and some of the good habits and practices I've developed really over the years. And I credit other people such as Brandon Bouchard and Tony Robbins and James Clear and just the whole wealth of information and resources and books and practices that are out there that I try to do myself, right? Subscribing to a philosophy of continuous improvement, right? Self-improvement, personal success, right? So I try to drink my own moonshine as well. And people recognize that.
I'm curious, Eric, what is one habit or ritual that you have regularly that recharges and nourishes you as a person?
I definitely have a lot. And I think let's talk about something maybe not as exciting, sleep, right? We all know the stereotypes. Don't get enough, want to get more, who's doing anything about it, right? And there is something to be said about quantity and quality of sleep. And I try to be disciplined and stick to a routine. And that does help a lot. Can I operate on less than 5 hours a day? Of course. Do I want to do that for the foreseeable future? Absolutely not. So, things like that. And all the other good habits and practices pertaining to health and nutrition, fitness. A year ago, I started working out 5 days a week. And if you would have told me 52 consecutive weeks later that I would be doing that, I would have laughed at you. but I've since done that, and that streak is continuing.
Lovely. Yeah, it's fascinating how some of the most basic things that people don't think about, sleep, water, can be so transformational in their own right, and it's something that we so often just overlook. Eric, lovely. So we are running out of time. I'm just again so thankful that you made the time, and also thankful for everything you're doing with Boston EXO, Open EXO, Purpose Alliance, the internship. I'm proud to be a partner and looking forward to finding ways to contribute to your energy and helping shape that mindset, transformation around the world. If people would like to get in touch, Eric Patel on LinkedIn, and I'll put that link on the show notes as well, and also bostonexo.com. And don't forget to look at purposealliance.org and sign up, hopefully, for the global challenge on the future of education, if that's what it's going to be called. But it's going to be the future of something special, towards the end of the year. So, Eric, thank you so much for joining. It's been great having you.
Thanks very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Learn more at ebillion.com/podcast.